As a parent, I despise helping my children with their math homework. And yes, I said it. I despise helping my children with their math homework because if it's not a tape diagram or a bar model, it must be a base 10. Where did they come up with it? You see, I grew up in a time just like you where we borrowed from the tens place, carried over to the ones place. And let's not forget about our beloved acronym. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We knew PEMDAS like we knew the back of our hand. However, as a fourth grade math teacher, I recognize and can appreciate the comprehensive goal of the curriculum writers. They have created this material so that your child can be capable of being independent mathematical thinkers, able to compete with the top notch in the future STEM world. I must admit that in spite of popular belief that these professionals have your child's best interest at heart, and I know you're not truly, and I know that you're not truly against the newly implemented mathematical practices, because at one time, our old school math was the new school math. However, you're just disheartened every time that you look at your child's face while they're doing homework. And it seems as if they are climbing this never ending mountain of math problems and word problems only to be defeated in the end. As a doctoral student of science and math education, I am here to share with you that the real issue with math stretches farther than the gap between the old school and the new school methods of mathematics, which truly come up with the same correct answer, as we know. Correct answers in what seem to be opposing styles. But what if I told you that your child's problem with math has nothing to do with the math in itself? How about if I told you that your child could excel at math at the top levels if put in the right setting? Would you believe me that it's one word that's causing all of this disconnect with math? Yes, the word problem is the reason behind this chaos. Let me break it down for you. Here are some scenarios. There's an 11-year-old girl who feeds, bathes, and puts her brothers and sisters to bed every night because her grandmother, who raises her, works the evening shift. So no, she didn't get to your math homework. Then, in another instance, there's a 10-year-old boy who dresses himself, put himself on the bus because his parents were too high to wake up. So yeah, his uniform is dirty. His shoes are untied, and yes, he has forgotten his belt, but he's also hungry. He's also hungry because he hasn't eaten since yesterday's school lunch. And finally, there's a 9-year-old boy who pretends that his sweatshirt is long and flowing hair. He has a fascination with glittery things. Because of this, students constantly pick on him, so often that he cannot focus on his math problems. As harsh as these accounts may sound, these are the realities of my students over the years. These are the hardships that they cannot control, the hardships that they cannot overcome by themselves. Hardships in itself is a terrible word. Hardships in itself populates numerous synonyms such as, let's see, deprivation, poverty, neediness, distress, affliction, tragedy. All of these nouns that depict the hardships and the calamities of people's life are perceived in layman's terms as problems. The issue is that words have been coined the most dangerous weapon that a human can use. Pair that with the uncertainties of this new school math. No wonder when I say let's get started with these rigorous math problems, it sounds an alarm for most of my children. And when we dive into these math, thus, when a lesson plan structure begins with fluency problems, then followed up by an application problem, then later on reinforced by a problem set, and then ending with a summary of questions that probably include word problems. As silly as it may sound, The word problem is a problematic term that's creating a disconnect and having a huge effect on our children's relationship with math. A cognitive science professor by the name of Lyra Boroditsky explains it well when she says words have the power to provide confidence and reassurance, as well as having the same power to ensure that you feel anxiety and inadequate. Therefore, just think about your child's real life problems, whether it be a family member dying, parents divorcing, neighborhood violence, or even being bullied at school. Then pair that with the uncertainties of math problems. Then think about being bombarded with the word problem for over an hour on a daily basis for 180 days a year. That's nearly half a year of being scrutinized with problems. Ladies and gentlemen, your children are being classically conditioned to have a disdain for math. The word, just as in the studies of classical conditioning, problem is a conditioned stimulus that doesn't necessarily have any significance until it's paired with something important. Over time has triggered a conditioned response of anxiety and fear of failure. In a previous lesson, I have even counted the number of times that I have used the term problem. And as I counted, in that one lesson, I counted that I used the word problem 37 times. According to science, the perfect ratio for every one negative word used, you must follow up with 5 positive interactions. Hence, in order to recover from that one negative word repeated 37 times, I would have had to provide 185 rebuttals in positivity just to recover. All that in a 1 hour and 15-minute math lesson? Yeah, really realistic. It is now that we must change this detrimental behavior. Educators, it is time that we change our approach with math. That we treat math as if it's actually a member of the fun yet analytical term that we love to use as STEM. Let's have investigations. Let's have explorations, educational expeditions and journeys by changing the verbiage. But later on, let's go and alter the view of math altogether. And maybe, just maybe then, our children will fall in love with math for the first time. And they're the only ones who can change it from that new math to that new math. Let's take a stand against everything we know negatively about math, because our students, who we affectionately call our babies, have 99 problems, but math problem, the term math problem, should not be one.